Hi, I'm Fedev. I'm the current world record holder in R.E.P.O with my friend Satoshi Sensei for the fastest 6 level and 10 level completions that any group has done. And today I'd like to give you some of the best tips and tricks that I know to make getting to level 10 as fast as possible much easier for all of you. Before we get started, if you like R.E.P.O content or speedrunning, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post all my good times and will continue to make videos like these when I can to help everyone get a little better at the game. To get started, here's an overview of everything that will be in the video. First, we'll go over the ideal settings that you should have to make this game more enjoyable. Next, we'll talk about some movement tech that makes it a lot easier to traverse the map. We'll go over some useful tips for handling certain values in the game. Then we'll talk about some basic details on how to deal with enemies efficiently and what dangerous combos to look out for. We'll talk about the best items to buy in the shop. We'll go over some basic mods that you should be using to practice everything we've gone over. And finally, we'll go over some of the glitches and bugs that break this game and make it way easier. There are a few settings that make it way harder to play this game more effectively and have created a lot of nausea for new players that immediately turn them away from the game. These include the camera smoothing, shake, noise, and animation settings. Turn all of these to off or 0%. Turn off tips because they never stop replaying and can be very annoying being told for the 30th time how to pick up an item. Finally, turn off motion blur and turn pixelation to the minimum possible. This will help improve the visibility of the game and make it significantly less nauseating. Here's what they look like side by side. As you can see, the video on the left is much more nauseating, and the mouse is a lot more difficult to control, while the right is smooth, clear, and responsive. I also personally like to turn down the music for the game. It's a lot better in my opinion because there's a reduction in the strange ambience noise, but it sadly gets rid of the iconic title screen music, so you can decide if it's worth it for you or not. There are 3 key movement techs to getting around the map. These include slide canceling, slide tumbling, and cart boosting. Slide canceling is done by having extremely low stamina, between 3 to 5, and then sprinting and sliding immediately. This allows you to conserve your speed and stamina and move at the speed of sprinting while only using around 5 stamina at a time. Here's it in action. It's extremely important to do this whenever you have the cart, as you can continually do this every time you get 5 stamina and push the cart at a much faster speed. Slide tumbling takes an additional tech of tumble launching and tacks it onto the end of the slide cancel. You can jump and tumble mid-slide cancel and get additional movement across the map. When you're just running around the map and not in nearby pits, this is the second fastest way of movement and the fastest if you're not the host of the server. Here's it in action. If you are the host of the server, you can do what's called cart boosting. By holding the cart in strong mode and then placing it behind you and quickly looking in the opposite direction, the cart will thrust you forwards rapidly, making you move consistently at sprint speed for as long as you can hold it. This allows you to recharge your stamina while moving rapidly, and while it's tricky to learn, it allows you to move very fast around the map. This is really only useful for speedrunning, so if you're not doing that, don't worry about learning it. It's kind of difficult, and there's no reason to do it if you don't. Finally, as an honorable mention, some people enjoy using the roll drone as a method of movement. If you sprint briefly and then hold down Q and W, you'll begin rolling around the map very quickly. This can be fast, but in my opinion, the roll drone isn't the best investment money-wise and should be focused instead into upgrades. So if you have the spare cash, feel free to try it out and see if you like it, but I recommend not doing it. The main pain of this game, the valuables. There are certain tricks that make some of these easier to work with quickly, as time is precious in this game. First, for items that are just a little too heavy, you can do one of 2 things to move them. You can either rotate them, as you'll soon find out rotation is very powerful in this game, or you can push them around. You can rotate some items into the cart like the base, the TV, the barrel, and the cube. This makes them a lot easier to collect as you can't lift them by yourself early on. Line up the cart with the tallest part of the item, then stand on the opposite side of the item, and rotate the item towards you by pulling your mouse down. This will rotate the item into the cart, saving you time and energy. Here's a quick video showing how to do it with all 4 of these items. The cube is a little bit more tricky as it's slightly too short to get into the cart. What you can do is rotate the cube aggressively, which makes it hop off the ground slightly. Once it grips onto the side of the cart, it will rotate in the same way as the other three items. Next, dealing with the larger items of the game can be a major pain. The indestructible and feather drone can make this easier, especially for the extremely bulky items like the piano or Sphinx statue. I highly recommend getting these items as soon as possible. You can also drag some of these items to the extraction point, like the servers or computers in Mechanic Station, or the painting statue and harp in Headman Manor, or the broom in the school map. The enemies in this game at first can be extremely scary to deal with, but if you learn the techniques, you can deal with them all very efficiently. I'm not going to make a full enemy guide here, I may make one in the future, but I'm going to give some quick tips on how to deal with some of the more annoying enemies. The duck is my number one op, but there are a few ways to quickly kill it. The cauldrons in Swiftbroom Academy can stun the duck if you trick it into hopping into it. You wait until it explodes, and then you can bash the duck against the ground until it dies or toss it into a pit. The flamethrower can murder the duck in mere seconds. You just have to turn it on and wait until you have roasted duck. You can also tumble launch into the duck to send it flying. I recommend having an upgrade for this, for the tumble launch, and only doing it as a last resort, as if you miss, you may be in for a painful experience. Finally, you can extract the duck and have the extractor slam into it. This actually works with every enemy in the game, I believe, besides the peeper, so baiting enemies to walk into the extractor may be a good strategy early to get some extra cash if you can't kill them with the current setup that you have. For every other enemy, you can beat them with certain items, depending on the size. I recommend watching R.E.P.'s items guide to see which items will stun the larger enemies. The ones I recommend using are the clown, PC, radio, and gramophone. The small items can stun the smaller enemies like the upscream, rugrat, animal, chef, and spewer. You can essentially beat these enemies until they die, just with the item. Pits, while your greatest enemy, are also your best friend. Pits instantly kill any enemy that gets dropped into them as long as they're stunned. So, trank an enemy and toss it into the pit. This is the easiest way to kill the trudge, but he's pretty heavy, so only try it if you have the strength to lift him. An open pit with no guardrails, or if you have a friend around to assist you. Some enemies can float back up if they're not stunned, like the robe, the mentalist, and the duck, so only throw them in the pit if you're sure that they're stunned. The huntsman's shot can be baited out, and since the huntsman trips while falling downstairs, you can rotate him to make him fall over. Afterwards, slam his head or foot into the ground over and over, and he should stay stun locked, allowing you to deal with him easily. His shot can be baited out with an item by tapping it on the ground, or by grabbing him and immediately hiding behind a wall, cart, or another solid object. Make sure to rotate aggressively, but not too aggressively, or else he may not fall down. If you fail the first time, just let go of him and try again. It's not that big of a deal. Finally, certain enemies will look for you under hiding spots if they see you hide there. These include the Rogue, Reaper, and Headman. You can abuse this by hiding underneath a table or item while they're chasing you, and as soon as they get to the table to crouch and attack you, exit and walk around them. This can allow you to escape and break line of sight. Some scary enemy combos to look out for are the Hidden with the Rogue, the Upscream and any large enemies, and the duck and enemies that thrash around like the animal, chef, and reaper. The upscream is also particularly dangerous around pits, so be very careful not to let them get a jump on you near a pit. When shopping, your priority should be as follows. The feather drone always comes first in solo. Always. If it happens to pop up in the shop early, that is awesome, pick it up. But if you have a lot of strength, like 8 to 9, and it doesn't pop up until that point, at that point, don't worry about it. Only buy it if you need it. Next, you should go for the indestructible drone. Go for this first if you're in multiplayer, as you can carry every item with a teammate. Third, the trank gun. This item lets you deal with any enemy and is necessary for high level runs. There's also a very nice glitch with it. Fourth is the recharge drone. It's essentially a free crystal and only costs a few thousand. Pick it up, it's very useful. Now, going for upgrades is the next most useful thing until they get too expensive. Always prioritize strength and put all of your strength upgrades into one person until they reach 13 strength. This is the value that allows you to stun and pick up every enemy in the game besides the duck and the eyeball. Make sure to have an ample amount of HP to prevent yourself from dying to the 100 damage monsters. If you've got some spare cash and the zero gravity drone pops up in the shop, pick it up. Same goes for the shotgun. It can be useful for a multitude of reasons. Buying crystals early with spare money can save you a lot of money later on, as they get more and more expensive as time goes on, upwards of 24 to 25,000. Buy health packs if absolutely necessary. Ideally, try to avoid taking any damage while in the levels so that you don't have to worry about spending money on HP. Keeping a spare 100 HP pack around can be very useful, so try to pick one up early if possible. If you're doing a glitch run, you should never really need to buy any help. Avoid buying the melee weapons, roll drone, zero gravity orb, and anything else not mentioned, unless you can't afford anything else. They're not very useful for the most part, and you might as well not buy them. The mods in this game are necessary for practicing so you can get good at the game. To download mods, download the Thunderstore mod manager. I'll have a code in the description for you to import my recommended profile for testing, where you can spawn items, enemies, and to practice in a safe zone. Feel free to troll your friends with the enemy spawner mod if you're a host. It's hilarious spawning tons of ducks or rugrats just to mess with your friends. The glitches in this game can make the game a lot less fun, so some people choose not to use them. But they're used in the speedruns, so if you want to speedrun, you should learn them. But if you don't, feel free to stop watching here. The first glitch that most people know is that you can steal a health pack from the shop and use it while leaving in the truck. This saves a lot of money, and tons of people use it in multiplayer because it makes the game easier. Just spam your use button, E in the case of default settings, when the truck leaves the shop while holding a health pack, and it will automatically use it. You'll be looking at the health pack to clarify. Make sure not to use a health pack of the same type of one that you purchased on the same shop round, or else it will automatically use it and waste the health pack that you purchased. The second glitch is less game breaking and involves hiding underneath items in your inventory. Sneaking in this game is very strong and can allow you to hide from enemies in plain sight. Just hold an item over your head and crouch and you will go into sneak mode. The final glitch I'd like to showcase is the infinite ammo glitch. This one is very overpowered, so if you don't want to learn it, please leave. All you have to do is rapidly turn on and off the recharge drone next to a completely emptied out ranged weapon, and it will become a monstrous rapid fire machine. This works with the tranq gun, and shotgun, and saves you a lot of money on crystals, making it so that you only have to recharge your feather and indestructible drone. I highly recommend using it while speedrunning if you get the tranq gun and a recharge drone, as it makes you essentially invincible, as you can spam tranq enemies infinitely and collect a lot of money in the process. Make sure to reapply it at the start of every level, as it will become empty next level if you don't. Thanks for watching my tips guide for completing up to level 10 much easier. I highly recommend looking into a few other videos like the video from Bread on spawn mechanics and the video from Warps on items and enemies. These videos are extremely useful for understanding the intricacies of the game and allow you to become much better when combined with the tips I've provided here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It means a lot as I'm a small channel. Also, please follow me on Twitch. I live stream all of my runs, and you can find me streaming over there when I have free time for runs. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.